Aquarius, you're moving through a silence that has no name, but it's far from empty. It's the stillness before the storm, a cosmic pause so you can finally hear your own heart. With the moon wrapping up a cycle in your 12th house, emotions that have long been suppressed are now beginning to surface. In therapeutic astrology, this is what we call a soul recovery phase, when the mind begins purging memories that never fully heal. You may have just emerged from a difficult period, a loss, instability, or simply the sense of being out of alignment with yourself. But here's what you need to know. With Jupiter slowly forming a harmonious trine to your sign, the light of healing is beginning to break through. Saturn, the planet of lessons and discipline, has just shifted into a position that makes you confront your responsibilities more clearly than ever. And this clarity leaves no place to hide. Truths that were once buried are now rising, not to harm you, but to set you free from what no longer belongs to your path. As a forward-thinking sign, Aquarius often leads with the mind, but that can sometimes mean emotional pain gets intellectualized, packed away too neatly. Yet now, with Pluto activating the axis between your 2nd and 8th houses, those emotional shells are beginning to crack. Wounds you thought were long gone are asking to be acknowledged, because only then will they truly leave you. A new lunar cycle is beginning soon in the Earth sign opposite yours, a subtle but serious reminder. It's time to relay your foundation. Unspoken truths, misunderstandings, or buried feelings must be brought into the light. This is no longer the time to stay quiet. It's the time to be radically honest with yourself. Neptune, in a hazy angle to your sign, may be making you feel confused, as if clarity keeps slipping through your fingers. But remember, any fog you feel now is a sacred opportunity to shine a light on what's been ignored. The journey of finding your truth isn't just spiritual, it's emotional. And it starts when you learn to trust that inner voice again. If you've been feeling a deep urge inside to confront, to clarify, or to finally release, know that it's not random. It's a sign that the universe is pulling you closer to a personal reset point. Uranus, your ruling planet, is moving into a square with your natal sun. You may feel a quiet unrest stirring beneath the surface. Don't be afraid of it. This is the sign that a great unveiling is coming, and while truth may feel harsh, it's also the only way to real freedom. The beginning of your journey won't arrive with thunder. It comes quietly, in silence, as the universe leans in to whisper, "It's time." Not time to run, but time to look inward and finally see. As the moon enters its waning phase, the human mind begins to descend, quietly drifting back into distant memories. For Aquarius, the lunar cycle is now sweeping through the 12th house, the house of shadows, of unnamed subconscious patterns. This is not a journey outward, this is a journey inward into yourself. Do you feel like you're facing something you can't quite name? A vague, unshakable feeling? With Mercury, the planet of thought, currently in a hazy aspect to Pluto, you're beginning to realize that some truths can't be explained by logic. They must be felt, touched, and acknowledged, whether through silence or through tears. Therapeutic astrology calls this a turning point of emotion. It's the moment when you stop running from fear and begin to face it head-on. You may feel called to sever a dependency, release an old tie, or break free from a repeating emotional pattern. And like any goodbye to the past, this one comes with aftershocks. Chiron, the wounded healer, is currently opposing Venus, reminding you, not all fear is an enemy. Some fears are simply unopened doors, and when you stop avoiding them, you'll find that behind them lies a whole new space where you are no longer defined by your history. It's worth noting that Saturn is currently in tension with the moon, and this may make you feel as if you're disconnected from the world. Not because you're rejecting others, but because your soul is craving a space of absolute stillness to reorganize itself. The urge to withdraw from the noise of daily life isn't weakness, it's a natural response when the soul is preparing to renew itself. In karmic astrology, the 12th house is where you confront what hasn't yet been resolved in this lifetime, or even the lingering imprints from past ones. If a relationship, job, or environment feels like it no longer fits, that's not failure. That's fate's way of testing whether you can recognize what no longer resonates with your soul. The universe is whispering, pull back, choose a silence that speaks. You spend time in places where you can hear the trees, the water, or simply your own breath. For Aquarius, an air sign constantly stirred by thought, the hardest thing to do isn't action, it's stillness. As the moon begins to separate from its conjunction with the sun, this is the perfect moment to return to your sacred space. Whether that's a physical location, a spiritual community, or a quiet practice that brings you closer to higher energy. It doesn't have to be mystical. It just has to feel calm. And in that space, you'll start to hear what you've missed. The voice of your true self. No longer drowned out by the need to please others. No longer controlled by old memories. Aquarius, you are not alone on this journey. Others may not understand why you've suddenly withdrawn or shifted, but the universe does. And what matters most right now is not external validation, it's internal permission. When you stop attaching yourself to what no longer belongs, you'll finally hear something sacred, your soul calling you home. As the moon completes its full phase across the 6th-12th house axis in your chart, Aquarius, an emotional karmic loop is quietly coming to a close. More than ever, you can feel it. It's time to go, time to leave behind an old chapter, even if a part of you still lingers. This urge doesn't stem from sadness, but from a higher state of awareness where your intuition knows clearly, not moving forward is choosing to stay stuck. Your ruling planet is now forming an activating aspect with the North Node of Destiny. This is a pivotal moment, pushing you toward your soul's mission. Even if that means releasing someone, a former role, or a version of yourself that once made you feel safe. Not because you no longer love it, but because you've outgrown it. The universe is leading you toward a doorway you've never walked through before. It won't arrive with fanfare, but when you stand silently in front of it, you'll know this is the threshold between the old and the new, between the self you used to be and the version that's waiting to be activated. A strong surge of energy is now coming from the 4th-10th house axis, signaling that it's time to reset your direction, not only in career, but in how you're living your life. Perhaps you've stayed too long in a repetitive cycle where everything loops but nothing evolves. And now the universe is clearing a path for you to finally step out of it. Aquarius, this process is not simple, because with every new door comes a confrontation with what's still unhealed. The current alignment between Pluto and the moon is bringing you back to unresolved karmic lessons, an unfinished connection, an incomplete purpose, a goodbye that was never truly spoken. All of it is rising now, asking to be closed with intention. Karmic astrology calls this an unfinished cycle. No matter how many times you change your scenery, you keep seeing the same patterns, the same types of people, the same emotional letdowns. That's not coincidence. It's a lesson waiting for you to end it before it ends you. And then, just when it all feels dry and empty, a new energy begins to flow, serendipity, a sacred coincidence. You may notice a sign, a moment of alignment, or a person crossing your path unexpectedly. The universe always knows how to rearrange your direction once you're brave enough to close the old door. Aquarius is the sign of the future of breakthroughs. But before you rise, you must go deep to reconnect with your roots. And as the lunar axis returns to your 4th house, the house of emotional foundations, you're being invited to heal what was once abandoned. Perhaps a childhood memory, perhaps a lingering regret, perhaps a word left unsaid to someone long gone. This phase doesn't require you to know exactly where you're heading. It only asks that you have the courage to say, I'm ready. Ready to walk away from what's old. Ready to face the truth. Ready to let destiny lead. Because what's coming for you, Aquarius, is not random. It's the reward for having the courage to no longer abandon yourself. In karmic astrology, when the moon transits your 7th house, the house of one-on-one relationships, unnamed connections begin to take shape. And for Aquarius, this is not just any relationship. It's a soul intersection, a place where you and another have crossed paths across many lifetimes. You can feel their presence without reason. A glance, a memory, or simply an emptiness no one else seems to fill. The current aspect between Venus and the South Node is stirring unresolved energies, as if something between you and this person still remains unfinished, unreleased, unhealed. This person, in astrological terms, carries the energy of Saturn, or a retrograde moon, quiet, cautious, holding a wound they've never spoken of. You are the open one, like the Empress under Venusian light. They, on the other hand, embody the Emperor, silent in the shadows, composed on the outside but struggling deeply within. They may be keeping their distance, not because they don't care, but because they're not yet ready to face what this connection brings up in them. Pluto and Chiron are placing pressure on their emotional axis. They may be carrying abandonment, past life wounds, or trauma left unhealed, and unknowingly you've stirred it awake. The imbalance in this connection is not your fault, but it is a soul lesson. When you give more and they receive in silence, it's not indifference. It's the universe showing you that love isn't just about connection, but also about boundaries. Knowing where generosity ends, so you don't lose yourself trying to hold someone else. Their silence is not forgetfulness. It's a form of protection. In karmic astrology, this is known as karmic skepticism, where someone carries a fear of loss from another lifetime and unconsciously builds walls in this one. But behind those walls, something is slowly opening, gently. But it is. Aquarius, they are on their own path, and so are you. It's just that your paths once crossed and then gently split into two. Maybe to learn something more, maybe to heal something deeper, maybe to prepare for the moment you'll meet again when you've both grown into your full selves. If you feel like you're waiting for something from them, a word, a gesture, a sign, there's a chance they're waiting too. But both of you are standing on opposite ends of the same wound, neither willing to take the first step. You're ready to completely let their guard down. And that, right there, is the soul's challenge. Can you love someone without expecting them to heal at your pace? Can you give them time without losing time for yourself? Neptune's current influence on your 7th house makes everything feel unclear, like you're not sure if this love is real or just a memory repeating itself. But you know what? Whether it's real or not, your feelings for them are. And that's what deserves to be honored. If you've ever felt like this love is missing an explanation, it's because the explanation doesn't live in the present. It lives in the past. Maybe you walked away in a past life. Now it's your turn to be left. Maybe you were silent before, and this time they say nothing at all. Karmic timelines don't come with right or wrong. Only the question, is it time to close this chapter or not yet? Aquarius, this person may return, or they may not. And you will move forward, undoubtedly, because this lesson wasn't sent to hold you back. It came to teach you how to love without abandoning yourself in the process. Just when you think everything is ending, a much larger cycle is actually beginning. The simultaneous presence of two energies, one unresolved from the past and one calling you from the future, is placing you at a powerful and challenging threshold. And you can feel it, not with your eyes, but with your soul. As Pluto forms an aspect with your natal sun, you're stepping into a moment of soul awakening, a turning point where you're asked, who am I? What do I truly need? And what version of me is quietly stirring from within? And it's no coincidence that angel number 111, the number of awakening, has been appearing in your path. It's a gentle confirmation. You're on the right track. The intense planetary movements between your 1st and 10th houses show that you're not just cleansing your inner world, you're also redefining your life direction entirely. A new journey is forming in how you love, how you live, what you choose to release and what you dare to keep, simply because your heart says it matters. You've already faced and will continue to face difficult decisions. Maybe stepping out of a comfort zone, maybe letting go of a connection that lacks clarity, maybe accepting that something once meaningful is no longer alive. But Aquarius, not everyone has the courage to walk away without a clear destination. Yet you're doing it. The 5th, 11th house axis is reigniting long-buried dreams, passions, and even soul missions you once tucked away. Now is the time to rewrite your dream, one not limited by others' opinions or past failures. The universe is waiting for you to come home, to yourself. A rare alignment between Jupiter and the North Node is helping you see further. No longer just, how do I survive? But instead, how do I live truthfully? And in this moment, you're no longer walking alone. You're being supported by people you haven't yet met, by dreams you haven't yet lived, by potentials you didn't know you held. You have the right to rest, the right to be still, but don't mistake stillness for giving up. Saturn, the planet of responsibility and soul maturity, is reminding you time isn't running out. Time is rearranging itself so you arrive at the exact moment meant for you. Maybe you don't see the path clearly just yet, but trust this. Every step you've taken, every ache you've endured, is bringing you closer to the life you were meant to live. A life not shaped to fit others' expectations, but one aligned with the frequency of your soul. And then something inevitable will arrive, peace. Not the artificial kind that comes from silence around you, but the real kind when there's no more resistance within. Aquarius, walk this last stretch of the road, even if you walk it alone, even if no one understands, even if no one walks beside you. Because after the storm within, you won't just find the light again. You will become the light for yourself and for the quiet souls watching your journey from afar. This transformation doesn't ask you to act immediately. It only asks that you agree to release what you no longer are and allow yourself to move toward what's calling your name with love and with light. Because the moment you stop fearing being lost is the moment you begin to return. If this message touched something inside you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next shift the universe has in store for you. And share in the comments below. What part of your soul do you feel is awakening right now? Thank you for being here. This journey is yours, but you're never walking it alone.